Well, hey, how y'all doing? My name is Willie Lawson of fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com. And we've been posting a lot here this week. We don't normally post this much on this channel. This channel's at times kind of gone dormant and has a lot of different kind of stuff on it. Started doing that after Google crapped our AdSense account, so there ain't no money to be made for sure. But this has been an interesting um, forum and an interesting week. It is Friday night, and I'm here in my studio, and we're doing some work, seeing what we can get done here this evening. And I wanted to talk about the George Floyd situation a little bit again. Um, we learned today that Officer Chauvin, former Officer Chauvin, was charged with third-degree murder and manslaughter. Now, a lot of people have concentrated on the third-degree murder. I guess they wanted it to be second-degree murder or first-degree murder because they were under some impression that it was premeditated. Um, and third-degree murder seems to be the lowest of the bars to cross over. Unfortunately, the least of the penalties. Um, this is not Florida. Minnesota is not Florida. He wasn't going to get a needle. The guy's not going to get a needle in his arm. It's just not going to happen. And I don't think he's going to spend life in prison either. I also think that the charge of manslaughter may be, according to Minnesota law, and you guys who are Minnesota law experts could comment on that in the comments, may be where the meat of the punishment comes from. That's the update. But I wanted to talk about another aspect. I wanted to talk about the reaction that we saw to the video. The reaction was interesting, was different. It was different than what we're used to seeing. It was a cross-cultural response that was in agreement. There was consensus in what people saw. Now, when we all hopped into their lives, Chauvin and Mr. Floyd, there for those 10 or 11 minutes, that most of us had not seen anything before, for sure. We didn't have any history of any of these people. Their histories came out. Apparently, Chauvin had a list of complaints for overdoing it. I'll say it that way because that's the most polite way I could say it. As long as your arm. So this wasn't the first time that this officer had been accused of brutality. And I know that that there are some black conservatives here on YouTube that aren't going to like that I said that and said it that way because it seems anti-cop, but nothing can be further from the truth. Because frankly, we need police officers to be on the up and up in our community. We need police officers to be on the up and up. We need them to understand that their job is to protect our rights. We need them. We need the good cops. Just like in our community, we need the best teachers. We don't need the throw-offs or the newbies or the people who are ready to retire. We don't need those people in our community. We need the best teachers and we need the best police officers. So I'm very much pro law enforcement, but I'm gonna be on you because we need you to be the best. And what we saw in Minnesota was not the best. We saw the worst possible example of a law enforcement officer that you could have imagined. Actually, probably 4 of them. As the 3 other officers stood around, while Officer Chauvin kept his knee on the back of Mr. Floyd's neck, even when Mr. Floyd had lost consciousness. Yeah, so of course he was charged today. And there is a really good chance that the other officers who were there will also be charged. They will probably be charged with some accessory to the crime after the fact or whatever. But we have to see how this process works out. They got charged pretty quickly. It took a week, but they got charged. And now there's a process. They're not. I mean, this isn't TV where they're going to run them into a courtroom tomorrow afternoon or Monday afternoon. That's not how this works, and y'all know that's not how this works. And all the calm, cool, collected heads, all the people, even who are angry, understand that that's not how this process works. They're not going to be drugged into a courtroom Monday morning at 9 o'clock. It may be months before these people go to trial. It may be months. Right? And we don't know how long the trial will last. But our problem is, in the meantime, is not the reaction to the crime, and there was a crime committed, my opinion for sure, but the reaction to that. The reaction to the crime. Now, the first video that I saw of the protest, which I'm going to put right here in this area, so you can click on that, was a peaceful protest out in front of where Mr. Floyd lost his life at the hands of Officer Chauvin. In the hands of Officer Chauvin, for sure. And I noticed that this was a very peaceful protest, and there were a lot of people there. People were, being respectful. People were the march to the police precinct had started, but there were still a lot of people around. And there was no violence. And strangely enough, you'll hear in the clip that it was pretty quiet. To have that many people in one place, it was pretty quiet. Now, hours later, all hell broke loose in Minneapolis when there was looting and burning of buildings and anywhere near that police precinct within a few blocks, those buildings where those businesses were burned. They were broken into. They were looted. And the narrative is that there was so much anger in the black community that's why this rioting happened. Now, what you have to believe is this, that I get so pissed off at my family that I burn down my own damn house. Anybody else do that? Anybody else get so mad at your own family that you burn down your own house? That you set your own car on fire? That you go to your business and you pour gasoline in your own business because you're so angry and that you're so hurt? Not many people do that. And I'm going to tell you, communities don't do it either. People who care about their communities don't do it either. So what you see and the highly produced and promoted narrative that people in that community are doing that to their own community, I don't buy it. Just don't buy it. And more evidence is coming out that between community leaders and working with police, is that some of the people that you see in these videos aren't from the area. It reminds you of Ferguson. It reminds you of Ferguson. Now let's separate Mike Brown from this. Let's just look at the rioting. Where we learned that buses full of people were being brought in to the edge of town to go wreak havoc. Whatever you thought about the Mike Brown case was almost irrelevant. And I don't want George Floyd to be in the same situation. Because this time, we saw what happened. And I don't want this case to turn into an opportunistic moment for a whole different group of people who have a whole different set of motives to push their agenda and not ours. My name is Willie Lawson, fightbackmedia.com. Please, if you like the video, hit the subscribe button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the like button. We'd appreciate it. Till we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you. Bye-bye.